guys, I am here with Miss Aimee Woodall. How are you today?
I'm great.
Good,
Thanks for
good.
being here.
Of course. Thank you for coming and letting me interview a little bit.
Sure.
And tell me a little bit about your company.
So I run the Black Sheep Agency. I founded it 10 years ago this year. It's our 10th anniversary. Time flies.
It does.
And we are a brand strategy firm. We do creative work and communication strategy, but specifically for impact-based businesses. So that's defined as 3 different kinds of clients. Nonprofit is the one that most people are very it's straightforward. They assume that most of our businesses are nonprofits. But we also work with government organizations, civic organizations, and then for-profit companies who are trying to balance purpose with profit and make the world a better place as a part of their day-to-day business mission.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Awesome.
It feels really good. It's very hard work because actually all impact-driven businesses are short on resources.
Exactly.
Time, money, people. If they're on a mission, they usually need more of those things. And so we have an uphill battle that we fight to activate people around the work that they're doing, to build in those resources outside of the organization. But it's the most meaningful job that a person can do, and we love it.
It really is. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
first thing first, I love your office. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
Thank you.
In the old clock tower, the heights. It's wonderful. Are you originally from Houston?
I am originally from
Okay.
Houston. Native. I was born here,
Awesome.
and have lived most of my life in and around Houston or somewhere in Texas, but have really established my career here in Houston. And we moved into this space 4 years ago.
Oh, so you guys were like one of the first people to.
We
be over here, right?
were
That's awesome.
the very first tenant to move into the upstairs of the building, and we've loved it. We've made it our home. And one of the things, just a side note, is that because we work in the impact space, and because this office is such an investment for us, we offer it to anyone in the community who is doing good work. We're trying to improve the community in some way. So a nonprofit group or a board of directors or anybody who's trying to organize to do good things in the community, we offer them to use our space for free so that we can,
Wow.
so
That's
that we
awesome.
can really make the space work for the community.
Yeah.
So I like to mention that because
Yeah, that's wonderful.
we have a lot of good people coming in and out of this office, and the more we can give them a place to convene and get things done, the better it feels.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, what did you do before this? What's your background? I mean, how did you get to point A to point B?
I have been in the creative industry my entire career. In Houston, actually.
Awesome.
So I worked for another agency for about 8 years, off and on, in every role that you can work in a creative industry. I was a copywriter. I was in public relations. Then I ran the public relations department. Then I moved more into client services and kind of running the agency, sort of the administrative side of the agency and the client interaction piece. And just wanted to do things in a different way, and so I started my agency in 2009.
Okay.
And have been building and kind of running and gunning ever since.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt like in Houston we needed a bit of a different agency, and that's what we became. We wanted to be a little bit on the rebellious side, which is why our name is Black Sheep.
I like it.
We didn't want to do things traditionally. We kind of wanted, if everybody else was going this direction, we wanted to go the other direction. In the middle of the recession of 2009, coming out of the gate and being a little bit rebellious was very effective because people were ready for something different. Things that usually worked were not working anymore. So we came out of the gate just kind of with that rebellious spirit and different thinking, and grew from there. And then what was standing out and really trying to be different became more standing up for things. So we transitioned over the years, became a B corporation in about 2 years into running the business, which is our third-party kind of audit that you go through to stake your claim in being an impact-driven business that's running based on social responsibility principles and environmental principles, and we've really put our stake in the ground in that.
That's awesome.
In that space.
And I do have to be honest, whenever I was, reading what you guys did and what you do, I was thinking, kind of like LA-ish, like, well, I was going to walk in here with 2 people, but, you walk in and you have a wonderful team, an awesome staff. I mean, it seems like you guys are, it's big. It's awesome.
We, people refer to us sometimes as a small business, and I mean, the term small business is always kind of something that, I don't know, catches me off guard a little bit, because who defines small and who defines big? So it's interesting to hear you say that we feel big. There's 13 of us, and we do the work of an army.
That's awesome.
Because we believe so much in the work that we do. We put our whole selves into it, and oftentimes people are very surprised to know that we only have 13 people. They think that we have hundreds of people.
That's a good thing for your clients, right? That's a really good thing for your clients. That's awesome.
So 13 is the biggest we've ever been, and the biggest really we want to be. We like our culture and the closeness of our team, and the way we're able to be agile and kind of adapt as needed. And so we feel like it's a great size, and we get a lot done.
That's awesome. So what made you want to kind of start your own company? Was it just kind of you, like you said, you had worked your way up and you had done everything? Was it just that kind of time? I mean, was there just a time in your life where you said, forget it, quitting the job and jumping, both feet forward? I mean, what kind of made you do that? Because that's a huge step.
I really felt like I didn't have a choice. I got to a point in my career and just kind of observing what was happening in the industry. In 2009, social media was becoming really mainstream. So it wasn't just the early adopters anymore. And I'm not just talking about Facebook, but just the greater whole of social media. Digital was, tidal waving over traditional marketing and advertising and communications, and I didn't feel like anyone in Houston was adopting that or responding to that quickly enough. So that was part of it. So just the more like sort of the tactical things, observations that were happening in the industry. But then I just felt like there was a different way to do things. And so when I left my old agency, looked around at what others were doing, did some research into the agency landscape in Houston, and I just felt like there was space for someone to come in and take a different approach. And I'm a spontaneous person, so I was slightly spontaneous in the starting of the business. And I think I was born to be an entrepreneur, although I never knew I was meant to be an entrepreneur until I became an entrepreneur. I was always disinterested in the administrative side of the business, the sales side, the accounting, HR, all of the mechanics of running a business.
The non-fun stuff.
I never wanted to do any of that, and so those were the things I weighed heavily when I jumped into it. Should I do this? Am I going to be okay with doing those things as well? Because those things are required.
Very much so.
Nothing else works if you don't have those things in place. So I decided to do it, and I guess kind of oddly enough, many of those things, not all of them, like the accounting and the HR side of things, definitely still don't like those to be on my plate. But I love the business development side of things, because it's not actually sales if you are deeply in love with what you do and you
Exactly.
believe in what you do, and it just becomes something. It's a conversation instead of a sales call or.
Yeah, it's building a relationship. I mean,
So I love that because
Yeah.
I love to be out and talking about what we're capable of and what we can do and how it can change the trajectory of an organization. So that's actually what I feared the most becoming an entrepreneur is actually the thing that I love the most about being an entrepreneur now, which is a nice surprise.
And that's a good take on things. I like that. Thank you. You know, being an entrepreneur is hard in itself. Have you? I mean, is there any pitfalls or any road bumps you've had to go over being a woman entrepreneur? You know, raising funds, capital, or anything like that?
I thought you were going to ask me if I've slept because that's a fun question to ask an entrepreneur, and most of the time the answer is no. Because I'm in a service business. I have been lucky that I haven't had to raise capital.
Yeah.
So I started my business with $16 to get my DBA.
Wow.
And
going to the city and signing all the papers. And
I think I spent a little bit of cash on some business cards.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I had 3 clients pretty much right out of the gate who came on board, and the income from the revenue from those clients helped me to have instant cash to work with.
Awesome.
I hired my first employee on day 1, and we we're creative about how we survived as we built the business, but I didn't have to fundraise, which was one
That's awesome.
really hardy advantage.
Yeah.
I was able to hit the ground running without some of those obstacles that a lot of female entrepreneurs have to overcome.
Yeah.
As far as being a female in business, I think there are lots of obstacles. I've been in many conference rooms and board presentations where men are listened to over women, or I'm working with a collaborator and someone will continually address my male counterpart rather than understanding that I'm actually the one who is doing the thing that they're asking about, or something like that. But I'm also a very outspoken woman, and so I think a lot of my confidence and courage has helped me to not encounter as many of those obstacles as perhaps other people go through. But male or female, being an entrepreneur is hard, building a business is hard, and a lot of the struggles are universal. I remember the early years, the first couple of years being, I wanted everyone in Houston to know who we were and what we were doing. So I spent morning to night having coffees, meeting for breakfast, having lunches, networking throughout the day. And then I was at 3 or 4 events every night. And then I would come home and actually do the work to run the business, or do the client work from midnight to 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And then get up and do it again the next day. And so it requires, you really have to have a burning fire inside of you to become an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur. And there are phases that you go through as an entrepreneur. The early stages are hard, no matter what your dynamics are, no matter what your situation is, no matter what kind of capital you need. Laying that foundation it's a pivotal time.
Yeah.
And then as you move forward, if you're a aggressive, sort of relentless entrepreneur, what you know is that you can never sit back and rest.
Yeah.
So whenever you achieve a certain level of progress, what's the next thing? Yeah. And that's there's something in the entrepreneur's DNA that that allows for you to just keep thinking and going like that, and never sort of settle in.
So you were really born to be an entrepreneur.
I think so. I think so. Although, if you would have asked me at any point in my life until the moment I became an entrepreneur, I would have said no. So.
Well, see, I love how you said, with $16 in my pocket with the DBA, and then, getting business cards, you legitimately built this from nothing to where it is now. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's been quite an adventure. There's always a challenge. I'm a very competitive person, which I think is a good quality to have as an entrepreneur.
Oh, totally agree, yeah.
That's one of the qualities that helps you never rest.
Yeah.
And never think that something is good enough. It is. There's a good analogy between an entrepreneur and an athlete, and how the endurance you need to have, and the training you need to have, and the ability to kind of evaluate your performance constantly and make adjustments, big and small, to be a better athlete, be a better entrepreneurs.
That's wonderful. And so I ask this question on every single one of my interviews. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to a young woman that's wanting to either A, become an entrepreneur, or B, become someone, a force to be reckoned with in the city of Houston?
Well, this is a tough question. I think, and one that I'm asked a lot.
Yeah.
One of the tricky parts about being an entrepreneur is that it's different for everybody. And so, I wish I could just rattle off my top 3 tips, but it depends on who you're talking to. But I think the most urgent thing for me to say out loud would be that people told me over and over again that I could not do what I was trying to do, that I would fail, that people would not understand this, that what I was doing was wrong, that I was turning away opportunity, that I was making a mistake. I mean, over and over and over. And some categories where people were trying to be helpful, and then some categories where people were haters and wanted to see me fail, or critics, and had opinions about things, either informed or uninformed. And I think you have to have a very tough skin to not let that doubt creep in that kind of feedback can create. So I would say the first thing is you need to know a little bit about where you're heading. So I did go and work for years in this industry before I did what I decided to do. And without that experience, I wouldn't have been able to do this.
Exactly.
So I do think not doing this right out of the gate, although some people are very successful at that too, but from my personal experience, it was really helpful to dive in and immerse myself in the industry and take on lots of different roles, and to be a sponge and absorb everything that was around me. And then the second thing is that you really have to be tough and strong and committed to what you're doing, and to not let any of the rest of that creep in, no matter what someone may say or do, to try and take you back a few steps, or to tell you that what you're doing isn't possible. And the thing that I love to talk about now, I'm a mother, I have a little boy, and I have a little girl on the way, and the thing I like to talk about now is that a lot of people believe that it's not possible to be a strong, powerful woman running a business, and to be a strong, powerful, and loving mother and wife, and to be just as dedicated to your family as you are to your work. And I don't believe that. I think it's incredibly hard, and sometimes you're tired and it feels like you're taking on too much, but I think you absolutely can be a very fierce woman and take business by storm, and love your family ferociously, and be a good friend, and be a good member of your community, and bring all those things together. So I just think there's possibility in it all, and that women who set their mind to having all of those components in their lives can absolutely excel at it. And I would love to see more women believe that is possible.
Yeah.
And to support other women who are
most definitely, yeah,
making that their journey, because I think that's another challenge is.
Oh yeah, it's a huge balancing act.
Yeah. And the more women stick together, the farther that we all go together.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Aimee, thank you so much. And Miss Aimee from Black Sheep Agency. And if anybody wanted to kind of look up on, your company and your business, do you have a website?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so our website's theblacksheepagency.com.
Okay.
And we're on just about every social network that you can be on, because that's part of our business.
That's kind of what you guys do, right?
So on Instagram and Twitter at Sheer Creativity, which is SHEAR, like you shear a sheep.
I like that.
And then, Facebook and the other things. But yeah, we love to hear from our community, and we pride ourselves in really trying to put out great information about what's happening in the community, particularly with great causes. So the more folks who connect with us in the social space, the more we can activate people around the important things that are happening in our community.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for all that you guys do.
Yeah, thanks.
And I will have all of the information right below this video, so check them out. And thank you, and more importantly, happy National Women's Month.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.